Alright guys, as you can see, I'm not there today, but you need to hear a few announcements. First and foremost, your notebooks are due. They've been due. So some of you have not been turning those in and getting those ready. They need to be to me by Tuesday, or I'm not accepting any more by Tuesday, and we have to start taking some points off. When I give you time at the end of class to put that in your notebook, and most of you sit down and just stay there and close your books, that's why you're not ready when we call in for notebooks. So we'll start doing some notebook checks throughout the second 6 weeks. Grading period ends next Thursday, and all of your grades have to be in by then. So if there's something you need to talk to me about, I strongly suggest you talk to me about it by Thursday. I mean, actually before Thursday, talk to me by Tuesday about it. You have a quiz next week as well. I was like, what's the quiz on? Unit C. Like what's on the board? And that's what needs to be there in your notebook for Unit C. For periods 1 and 2, we started our letters yesterday that go with our cookie mining activity. So you will need to continue writing those. I'll take that up. That is a classwork grade. And also due today, pardon me for not announcing it earlier, your Google slide presentations are due for your volcanoes and earthquakes. You've been working on that for about 2 weeks, and that's more than enough time. If you chose earthquakes, some of you have already chosen some earthquakes, and that is fine because I forgot to put it on the paper properly. But you have San Francisco, I believe it was 1906, and Fukushima, Japan. If you wanted to do that one, I think that was an earthquake and a tsunami all at the same time. So make sure all that work gets in to me, and let's get that done. I told you previously to share this with me. I want you to hold off on sharing with me. There's something else I want to do with this, and when I get back next week, I'll show you how that fits in. All right, so today we're going to look at resource extraction. We've actually been looking at it for a while. If this is not in your table of contents, please make sure that this makes it into your table of contents, resource extraction. Okay? As we go through the video, I'm going to hold for a pause, or I'm going to tell you to pause the video so you can copy the notes, and then I'll have a short explanation afterwards. But again, please make sure resource extraction is in your notes. Make sure that you put the title of the slide, Obtaining Resources. Go ahead and pause the video now and get that copied into the sheet that you've been given, your guided note sheet. All right, so you have copied that down into your guided note sheet. Again, you have copied, obtaining resources is already there. My fault. You must know the 3 ways that we obtain the resources that we need: harvesting, mining, and drilling. So not only is it important that you know the 3 ways we obtain it, but how we get it, or what resources we get from it. For example, harvesting only comes with wood and peat. Those are the only things you can get with that. Okay, you're not getting anything else. You can't harvest for coal. You can't harvest for oil. You only harvest for wood and peat. Remember, you know what wood is, and then peat is that partially decayed matter that is used for fertilizer. The second one is mining. We mined for coal and uranium plutonium. So we talked about coal when we did our cookie mining, and uranium plutonium when we talked about our nuclear fission and the process of how that works. And the last thing is drilling. We drill for oil and natural gas. You're not going to mine for oil and natural gas. You're going to drill for oil and natural gas. Okay? Each method has an impact on the lithosphere and the environment. So remember, the lithosphere is that Earth's crust. That's the part it has. So when you broke up your cookie, for example, you were breaking up the lithosphere in order to mine for coal. Okay, whoops. In order to mine for coal. Hey, all right, so take a minute, pause the video. All right, so as you're looking at wood harvesting, you're looking at all the things that it provides for us. One of the things it provides is what you use every day, pencil and paper. That is something that we need. Lumber and plywood, furniture, those things that build our houses, the frames that help build our houses, the furniture, that even though it's covered in leather, it still has a wooden frame to it. So it meets our physical needs there. So wood harvesting has some positive effects. We get these great things from it. However, it destroys the ecosystems, because think about all these things that live in the area. When you take that down, what's going to happen to the ecosystem in there? All those living creatures, they're going to have to find some space somewhere. So that's a negative. As much as we get our resources, it also destroys the ecosystem. Now, when it comes to, and I put a star beside this one for wood harvesting, okay? Oxygen, it says oxygen will decrease and carbon dioxide will increase. Think about what we breathe in. We breathe in oxygen, okay? We breathe out carbon dioxide. What do the trees take in? The trees are taking in that carbon dioxide, and they are yielding us oxygen. So when we wood harvest, we are breaking down that cycle of where we are provided with clean air. Think about if you've ever seen the movie The Lorax, not the short cartoon movie, but the other one. Think about how there were no trees there were no plants, and people had to rent air. All right, take a minute, get this copied or filled in. All right, so peat. What is peat? Remember, it's not your little brother Petey. So we talked about this as decayed plant matter. And it's cannot fully decay because it doesn't have what they call the conditions to. So anaerobic, for example, there's no oxygen, or the lack of oxygen. There's also lack of acid to break it down. So it's only partially decayed, not all the way. Used for fertilizer, however, again, this is a disruption to the environment because you're putting in new things that were not naturally there. All right, take a minute, pause video. Let's briefly go over the two types of mining. Okay, you have surface mining and underground mining, and it's just exactly what it says. Okay, you mine for your cookie. You were actually doing some surface mining, just mainly getting the top. If the cookie was thicker and you were able to dig through that layer, you would have been doing underground mining. The picture you see here of this gentleman is underground mining. So coal mining is a positive as it gives us the energy that we need. Remember, it was about 40% of the world is fueled by coal. And coal has some harmful things as well. It disrupts the landscape of the lithosphere. Think about it. Okay, you broke that cookie. Some of you tore that cookie up. So when you do that, you couldn't put it back. It was the way it was. So when you have all those broken down pieces, you have basically weathered. Remember our words. You basically weathered your cookie, and now there's a good cause for erosion. It's easier to erode. Okay, some of you were wiping off with your hands. Think of that as like wind or water erosion. It also leaves behind toxic substances that pollute air and water. So if you are like spraying down the area to get the weathered pieces away, then where does that go? Where does that waste go? Also, you have those particles that fill in the air. One of the things I don't like about this picture, and we'll talk about this more, is he's not wearing any protective covering. He's breathing in all those toxins. Here I just wanted you to take a little look at it. You have underground mining methods, surface mining methods, and this is just kind of a picture of how it goes. Notice how if you wondered, well, how do they get the coal back up if they're digging underground? The elevators. So the coal has an elevator that it gets loaded onto, and then the miners have an elevator in which they go up and down. And there's a great story, geography story, I want to tell you when I get back from one of the guys from National Geographic. Told something interesting. So this is just a good picture of how the mining process works. All right, give the video a quick pause. Okay, so when you are mining for plutonium and uranium, there are three particular methods that you have. One, you have open pit mining, where literally it's like an open pit. If you can tell and see from the picture, that's an open pit mining. So it's open, you just go in, pull out what you need. Okay, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's the basic. Then, like coal, it has underground mining, to which you would have to dig a lot deeper for that. And then you have in situ leaching. And I know that's something new. You're like, what is that? Well, that's basically when you use water to get the uranium plutonium out. But I want to wait till I get back to class to tell you a little bit about more of that one. So positive thing, again, it gets us what we need for our nuclear energy. However, it creates health risks for the workers. And again, I want to read you something when we get back about that one. We'll show you that this is just an example of, you can see here the leachable area, and the rock that you can't get through is that are permeable. But I want to, again, hold off on that one. And go to oil drilling. So pause the video for a second. Okay, with oil drilling, man, oh man, the issues. Cannot wait to come back and talk to you about this one. So, what is oil drilling? And you drill for oil. Oil is contained inside rocks. Remember what type of rocks that is. That's sedimentary. Okay, sedimentary rock. And the oil is contained inside the rocks that prevent it from escaping. So they call it oil traps. So they're basically digging for these oil traps to find those. So again, oil gives us energy for, it gives us heat energy for heating homes or whatever at the time we're heating. Also gives us some energy to move our cars along. Okay, not exactly gasoline, but it still affects the way our car works. So good things with oil. Positives. Negatives. Oil spills could destroy ecosystems and affect wildlife. Think about the BP oil spill. You guys were probably in elementary, middle school when that happened, and the effects of that. And when I get back, we'll talk about the economic effects of oil spills. So not only is it environmental issues, but it's economic issues. Actually, let me just briefly touch on it now. Think about the BP oil spill that happened in Louisiana. So I want you to think about how it destroyed the ecosystem. But then if Louisiana is a big area for seafood and things like that, think about how that was affected economically. Because those people still still sell seafood from a contaminated ocean. All right, so I want you to think of that, and I'll get back to you. This is a look at the oil traps right there. Remember we talked about yesterday. Why is the gas on top of the oil? You drill for both, but why do you get to gas before you get to oil? So hopefully you remember that. And there's another oil trap, and we'll talk about the porous and non-porous rocks. All right, pause the video, get this down. Okay, so we're looking at natural gas drilling. This is one of the methods called hydrofracking. Hopefully you remember hydro means what? Fracking results in fractures. So we're looking at how they use water fractures to pump out the gas. So this is a way they use water to increase the flow of natural gas from a well. So as you see here, those are the fractures. The water is going to be used to actually push the gas out. Now put a star beside here. Okay, why do we use it? So good thing, again, positive, we're getting some energy from it, but there are some very negative environmental effects to it. Okay, one, accidents can cause hazardous chemicals to escape. The problem is they cause them to escape into people's water supply. Not good. Then you have produces waste that must be disposed of. So what are you going to do with that contaminated water? There's an excellent video. Please remind me to show it to you of how this especially is an issue. So definitely put a star by the environmental effects of hydrofracking. All right, guys. Well, that is actually the end and all I have for you. So that was a quick little 15 minutes of chatter. But this is a good basis to go over with you when I get back. You must make sure you pay attention to this video. It is loaded on Google Classrooms. I am not going back over all of this again. So, and these are about 5 of your test questions come from this PowerPoint. So, best of luck to you. Have a good day. Hope I hear positive things from Miss Crabtree today.